Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with the review of the Transformers, Titan's Return, Titan Class, Necro, and Full Tilt and Trypticon. And we're going to have to do something again about this, aren't we? One moment. So, like with Fortress Maximus, Trypticon is way too large for my tiny set, so we're going to take a closer look at Full Tilt and Necro up here, and then we're going to go to the floor to take a closer look at Trypticon. But before we get to any of that, quick background. If you don't know, Trypticon was originally a Decepticon city base that was released in 1986 with his counterpart Metroplex, his Autobot counterpart Metroplex, the first city formers to be released in the Transformers toy line. Full Tilt was one of Trypticon's two normal-sized partners that like patrol his city mode and whatnot. The other was Brunt, who is not included with this toy. And then Necro right there is actually a reference to a comic-exclusive character who had ties to Trypticon that was known as Wipeout, and it was actually pretty much a straight-up tailgate repaint. But he's renamed. He's redone and renamed. Apparently, I guess they couldn't get the trademark Wipeout. And is now the Titan Master Necro. So let's take a closer look at him right now. He's a very small guy. I mean, same size as Stand Titan Masters, but he is mostly purple except with a black head. Well, at least it's not a pimple. Okay, I'll stop. Like I said, his arms, legs, and chest are all purple, though the chest is a slightly different shade of purple from the legs and the arms, if you can see that. And then the head is completely black. The head is a pretty square, boxy head with a visor and a mouth plate for the face. The chest has details, and the legs also have details, definitely referencing Wipeout from the comics, so to make that reference clear. And then on the back is Full Tilt's head, predominantly purple, red visor, silver stripe down the middle of the head. Pretty nice head sculpt going on there. For articulation, Full Tilt Necro's head is able to rotate a full 360 degrees, though sometimes it's a little tight on here. It is able to rotate, it is able to bob back and forth, it is able to bob side to side. The arms are able to bend that far forward and that far out to the side, and the legs are able to bend that far forward and that far back, and the knees are able to bend that far back and that far forward, and they can collapse into the chest to form Full Tilt's head mode. And you can see all of that. Before we move on, I do want to mention that on my copy, at the very least, I'll just tear the arm off for now so you can see it. You can see right there, there's a little bit of excess plastic going on there, if it'll focus. Yeah, right there, a little bit of excess plastic coming out of the hip. Not there on the other side. That's probably just excess plastic from when they were casting the mold and whatnot. That never got cut off. It's not bad. It does get in the way of the arm a little bit. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a widespread issue or if that's just didn't correctly cut on mine. But just a note if you do get Trypticon. That Full Tilt does have, not Full Tilt, Necro may have a little excess plastic on him. But it's all good. It's expected stuff. And then we have Full Tilt right here. He's a very nice, very purple car. Only black is on the wheels and on the top. Trypticon does come with a sticker sheet. I did not sticker him up. I may not, because most of the stickers are just little extra pieces, and I admittedly don't particularly care for stickers on my Transformers. I mean, I was before the generation where like I was not in a generation where like sticker Transformers were like the norm, so I don't particularly care for them. Sometimes they make them look good, other times not so, and I'm not too keen on stickering Trypticon up right now. Though there may be, I'm not positive there are any stickers from that sticker sheet for Full Tilt, but I mean, he could probably use stickers to like break up all this purple going on here. A little bit of silver underneath, but we'll get to that in the robot mode. But taking a closer look at Full Tilt car mode, you can see there's a lot of nice detail going on here. A couple tiny headlights going on there, little things right there, little notch screw things going on there. Nice stripe in the center. Things on the side that are probably like the windows. Panel is there, little
doodads, whatnot going on there. All the engines going on the back window right there. Stuff and detailings on the side. The wheels look pretty nice. The back looks like that. And then the underside looks like that. It's actually fairly clean, except for this chest panel sticking out, which is pretty nice. You don't usually see something that clean underneath. He does come with this gun, which you saw me take off of him before. A little tiny not tiny, but a little bit of a two blaster kind of a deal. It's a 5mm post, and it sticks on top of the car mode. There's also 2 Titan Master ports right here that allow a Titan Master such as Necro to stand on full tilt in his car mode. And as well as there is a Titan Master seating space inside full tilt, and you just sit a Titan Master in like so. Then you can close the canopy up, and whoop, there's a Titan Master inside. There's also a lot of nice detailing going on in there, though it's also hard to distinguish what of it is detailing, what of it is Necro, since Necro just blends into all of that purple. Excuse me. But yeah, that's all there is to say on the car mode. So let's get into some size comparisons for the two of them. Here they are next to Legends class Bumblebee. And you can see how they scale. I'll move Necro over a little bit. Here is Deluxe class Chrome Dome. You can see Necro's a bit of a smaller car than Chrome Dome is. A little smaller than a Deluxe. But certainly larger than a Legends. We got Voyager class Megatron. And you can see how they scale. And then Leader class 6-shot. And you can see how they scale. So that's all there is to say on the vehicle mode. So now let's roll right along to the robot mode. So Necro we'll put off to the side. Then we're going to come to the front of the car. I'm going to flip down these front pieces, probably the bumpers, I'll say. And then we're going to fold those back, and then we're going to fold these panels out to the sides, like so. Then we're going to come around. Actually, let's fold them all the way out. Then we're going to fold the legs out like so. And then just collapse the panels back like that. Fold them out. Collapse the panels. And we got the legs all done. Next what we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to pull the arms out of the side. I will note these ball joints are very loose, and I definitely fold the arms out a lot of times when I was transforming him the first times. So I'm honestly surprised that didn't come out right now. And then the fists just fold out like that. Do the same on the other side. Oh, there we go. There we go. There's the loose ball joint. Fold the arm down, flip the fists out, and there are the arms. Then you just come back here, flip the engine bit back like so, and then you got that. Now we just need the head. So Necro comes in, pegs on in, and there you have full tilt in his robot mode. And he's a purple man. He's not a one-eyed, one-horned flying purple people eater, but he's a purple bot. He's very, very purple. Very purple going on there. Yeah, like I said, you saw the head design before. There's the chest, some little panel lines going on there. A little bit of silver breaking up the chest, a very little bit, very light gray going on this stomach piece right there. Also some nice detailing going on that abs section right there. And you got this going on down here. Yeah, this bit does not fold in anywhere, so that does hang out down there a little awkwardly. So I'm just not going to touch that. And then the legs are purple. The lower legs are purple in the front of the car. There are wheels hanging out there. The arms, you see all that detail going on there. And as well as purple fists going on. And then there's the back of the robot body. You can store the weapon on the back if you wish, like so. Or you can place it into either of his hands, since they're both 5mm compatible. For articulation, his head can rotate a full 360 degrees. Not a whole lot of bombing action, but you get a little bit of side-to-side going on. The arms are on ball joints, so 360 degrees of rotation, and the arms are on hinges also, so as they're able to bend out, but only that far. There is a bicep swivel along 360 degrees of rotation, 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, and you can use the wrist transformation joint if you want, but there's not really a purpose to it from what I can tell. Legs are able to bend that far forward, that far back, and then that far out to the side. There is a thigh swivel, 360 degrees of rotation there. Knees are able to bend at about a 90-degree angle, and there is absolutely nothing at the feet, since his feet are basically just the front windows of the car. Do have to say this guy is a little awkwardly proportioned because the arms are so short and then his legs are so long. Like, yeah, it's just like the torso looks fine and the arms compared to the torso are fine, but then the legs are just like, whoop, here we are. And I don't know, it's just a little, it just feels slightly off. Like, it's not terrible, but like, it's noticeable. It's noticeable the proportions are a little weird. Because like, look, those are very, very tiny forearms, and then you got the leg. That leg is, the lower leg is as long as his upper arm, and that's just a little odd. But nothing too much to worry about. But yeah, all to say on Necro and his robot mode, so let's get into some robot mode size comparisons. Here he is next to Legends class Bumblebee. And you can see Bumblebee comes up to his waist. Deluxe class Chrome Dome. And where Necro was a lot smaller than Chrome Dome in vehicle mode, he turns out to be slightly taller at the head than Chrome Dome is. Then we have Voyager class Megatron. And you can see Necro comes up to those chest stickers on his chest. Leader class 6 shot. And he comes up to the top of those skirt panels there. And, of course, here he's next to the channel's mascots, Soundwave and Wheeljack. Yeah. So that's all there's to say on Full Tilt himself, and now we're going to move on to the ground, where we're going to take a look at the rest of Trypticon. And here we got Trypticon in his full city mode, which, yeah, I mean, look at how much further back I have to do. Like, I was able to hide the fact that the island of the kitchen was not as long as it was. Like, literally, that's the edges you see right there, where I was able to keep completely out of frame last time for Metroplex, but I cannot do it for Trypticon. He just turns into such a massive city. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, look at it. You got the front section right here that's got this huge ramp coming down, and you got the smaller ramps going on the sides. You got these long extensions coming out from the side, and you got those towers sticking up. Like, this is a cool city mode, man. This is awesome. All right, let's take a closer look at this city mode. Taking a closer look at the towers, we've got these two towers up here. We got the cannons on these two towers. The main base of the towers are white and kind of detailed a little bit to simulate like windows in a tower a bit, except for the tops, obviously. And then you got this purple tower right there. That's a bit more to accommodate a full tilt when he's combining, but it's there and it can be a tower. And you got all of that clear plastic going on. Look at all of that clear plastic going on. You can very nice detail on it. You can see inside. There are a couple of doors that allow for Titan Masters to fit on through and then store inside there. That, oh wait, actually, does that? Yeah, that would be the. That is going to be Trypticon's chest. So this is all the storage area for his robot mode. So I'll get into that gimmick when we get there. But yeah, like I mentioned before, there are the doors right underneath there. If I can reposition the camera in such a way you can see it, it's going to be a little hard, but you can see right there. You can see the light coming through. Then you got all of these huge gray sections right here with all of that detailing. You got a little bit of purple right there. You got arms hiding out in the back there, not too well. and then purple ramps with some bit of detailing right there. And you got the legs and these extensions. Clear plastic orange over there, a little bit of yellow paint going on there. These purple bits, bit of purple there, gray. These things that will make up Trypticon's feet, which are basically like helicopter landing pads right there. Going on the back, there's Trypticon's head. Hi, Trypticon. On the side, same thing on the other side, just mirrored. I do want to bring attention to these little bits because I did forget to mention about in Fortress Maximus. Leader class characters, I haven't reviewed any leader class characters on this channel yet, surprisingly, but leader class characters all have a base mode of some form, and they are able to connect with the Titan class characters using little friction joint hinge things that like Trypticons are right here, and you're able to interact and create larger cities by doing that. Fortress Maximuses are in an awkward position and don't actually really allow for connecting because how short the connecting hinges are on both Fort Max and the other Titan Masters and how high they are off the ground would make the cities uneven. So I did fail to bring that up because I forgot that was a thing, but I remembered it on Trypticon, so I did need to mention that. And then you got this huge ramp down here. You also have glowing orange eye, well, not glowing orange eyes, but you got clear plastic orange eyes going on the sides of Trypticon here, the city mode here. This ramp does in fact work. I'm going to show you right now once I get the camera far enough back to show it off. You just take a car, a deluxe class car like Full Tilt here, and you just roll him down the ramp, and he rolls. Yay! You can also fully integrate Full Tilt into the city mode. You just plug him in. You just hook him on. Well, actually, plug him in like there. He'll just peg in. And then this will come over and just hook him in solidly, and then you just lift him up. And then you got Full Tilt integrated as a tower of Trypticon. If you don't want this section here, you can just fully remove it. It's just on these things right there. You can remove that, but there is no other place to put it, so I don't mind leaving that there as a bit of an extra tower. Like so. I'll just leave that there for now and leave Full Tilt off to the side. There are a number of 5mm ports going on around Trypticon. There's 5mm ports on these points right here, 5mm ports. Actually, are they 5mm ports? Because they're hexagonal pegs, so they should be 5mm ports. Yep, they are 5mm ports right there and right there. You got 5mm ports right there and there. Is that a 5mm port? Not really. It's just a hole. Though you do have 5mm ports back here on the arms. 5mm ports on these arms right here, and 5mm ports there and there on the sides of the towers. The other holes are screw holes, but the same holes exist there and on the other side of the tower. And I just gotta readjust back here. Now to go over all of the Titan Master ports. Let's see. I haven't actually counted properly, but I know there are plenty about. There are ports here. There is a port right there. A port right there. These two ports right here on this side. Two ports over here on this side, mirroring that. There's a very tiny port there and there. Ports here and here, so 4 ports over here in total. Let's see where else. There's various tiny ports here, 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 here on the ramps. No ports, well, on these gray sections. No ports on the ramps themselves. There is one Titan Master port right up in the middle of the ramp, right there. Right there. I'm trying to divine if there are any other Titan Master ports I missed. Very tiny Titan Master port right there. There's a whole bunch all over the place. I'm gonna have to try to find out exactly how many there are and have to leave a number in the comments because I've actually just lost track of them, but there are various Titan Master ports all over this city mode, so you can have plenty of fun with the Titan Masters and the Titans Return toy line with Trypticon. Like, oh my goodness, this is so much fun. But now let's get into some size comparisons with Trypticon in his city mode. First, we have a Legends class Bumblebee, and you can see how large he is next to him. And then we got Deluxe class Chrome Dome, and you can see how big he is next to the city. Voyager class Megatron, and you can see how large he is next to his Decepticon command base. And Leader class Six Shot, who in some continuities actually is the city commander of Trypticon, so you can see how big he is next to his city, I should say.
And since I figure people are going to want to see it, here is Fortress Maximus next to Trypticon. Yeah, they are big boys, but Trypticon is bigger.
So now we're done with this mode. Now we're going to move on and transform Trypticon into his Starship mode. I think the box refers to actually does refer to it as the Nemesis, which is a reference to the Prime cartoon actually, because Trypticon in that was not the Prime cartoon, sorry, the War for Cybertron video games, where Trypticon actually turned into the Nemesis Starship, combining two big stations and important places of the Decepticons. But to get into Battleship mode, we're going to flip the ramp up like so, collapse it in, fold those guns out. Then we're going to fold these ramps up, fold them out. We're going to collapse that bit right there and collapse the towers down. The biggest thing we're going to have to do is we are going to take these legs, and I'm going to do my best to make sure these are shown, but you're going to have to angle the legs correctly so all of these posts on the legs fit into these holes on the other side of the legs. This is just one leg right here. So this is all going to collapse. It's all going to collapse in, and it's all, once you get it all lined up properly, it's all just going to tab into place like so. And then you're just going to fold it on in, and there is a tab right here, a tab right there that goes into a slot right there on the side of Trypticon to hold that all in place. The last thing you do is flip that wing out, and then you just repeat the process on the other side. Collapse the leg in on itself. Once you get everything lined up, fold it in, tab it in like so, and there you have Trypticon in his Starship mode. And it does a lot better and a little bit more to get into the very different modes than Fortress Maximus did. So definitely improvement. Definite improvement over Fortress Maximus. City modes, Starship modes, very different looking from each other. I mean, like, this is there and these sections are still there, but like everything's reconfigured in a way to make it a lot more visibly distinct from each other. So everything, I mean, most of the things you did. Oh, one more thing. We're gonna fold those up like so. Yes, those will get folded up like so. Not a whole lot new comes out in this mode. Main things that happen are this front section comes up, so you get to see all of that detailing and the cannons. So let me bring this in closer, so as you can see the detailing on here and these teal twin cannons. These wings come out, so you get to see the detailing on the wings. Though the wings feel like they're backwards, but the instructions even show that that's how they're supposed to be. And there's even another Titan Master peg right there. And then these sections come up. There's a little bit of silver, and there's even a couple of Titan Master pegs on the underside of the ramps. And I also never showed off the details on the side of Trypticon right there. But yeah, again, for the most part, everything's the same. Full Tilt is still able to integrate into Trypticon in this mode. And any Titan Master ports that are accessible, were accessible in his city mode that are still accessible in this mode still work. I can't tell you exactly how many of them are accessible in this mode that aren't, but there's still plenty of places to put Titan Masters on this guy. Oh, and I forgot to fold out the wing. Whoopsie daisy, look at me. Look how smart. As much of a smart cookie I am. At this point, I'm going to remember to mention that this, unlike Fortress Maximus, he does not come with any electronics. There are no electronics integrated with Trypticon at all. Unfortunate, but not that big of a deal to me. But he also does, in fact, roll. I don't know if you can hear it, but you can hear the wheels rolling. You want to lift him up, and you can see that, in fact, there are 4 wheels down here and 1 wheel up there that do allow Trypticon to roll in this giant ship mode, and it's wonderful. This rolls. This completely rolls. That's wonderful. And another thing, another place, there is one more place you can put full tilt if you don't want him sitting on top here. I'm just gonna adjust the camera down. So, as you can see this completely, you can open this front section. It's just gonna fold up on this hinge. And it kind of looks like a Dynamoth. It does kind of look like a Dynamoth. And then you just shove full tilt in there. It's only large enough to fit full tilt because full tilt is a more compact car than other deluxes. This is only going to really accommodate full tilt. And you just kind of collapse it down. And then you can see through the clear plastic that full tilt is in fact inside there. So you got a car riding inside a giant dinosaur spaceship, which is pretty friggin' cool if you ask me. And I'm going to integrate full tilt right now. And now we're going to get to size comparisons for the spaceship mode. Oops, let me get properly over. So we got Legends class Bumblebee, Deluxe class Chrome Dome, Voyager class Megatron, and Leader class Six Shot. So, now that's all said and done, it is now time to transform Trypticon into his robot mode. So to get started with that, let me just make sure the camera's adjusted properly. So, fairly simple actually. So we're gonna fold the wings in first, before I forget. And these giant panels are all gonna, you'll untap the foot. These huge sections are just gonna fold up and collapse into the sides, like so. Then you're gonna untab these legs, and they're gonna rotate down completely. Then you're gonna need to use this button. Remember this, there is actually a button release mechanism for the legs. The legs will, and you're gonna need to use it to get the legs tabbed into place because they will not budge unless you use that button. If you try to pull that, you're gonna break it. So be aware that there is actually a tabbing mechanism there. You'll fold the feet out, and then those purple sections fold out to complete the feet. Repeat that on the other side. Fold that huge panel down, fold that down, fold the feet out. Now that we got legs together, we can stand Trypticon and fold the tail back, and then get him into a more proper standing position. For that. So there's most of Trypticon right there. Then we'll come over here, collapse the arms. Yeah, collapse the arms down. And then untap them. There's a tab right here in the arms that folds into that slot right there. So that you just tab in there, and then you just fold in the rest of the way. And then you'll just unfurl those. Just do the same on the other side. You'll take the cannons, fold them up. I'll just collapse them in for the time being. Fold Trypticon's head down. Rotate him around. Rotate the head all the way around. Fold the cannons back, down. And there you have Trypticon in his robot mode. Dinosaur, kaiju, Godzilla mode, whatever you want to call it. He is in his final form, and holy crap, this is wonderful. It's a giant freaking mechanical robot dinosaur. What is there not to love about this? I'll tell you what else there is to love about this if you're not convinced. We got giant cannons going on in his mouth. I'll bring the camera closer at this point. We got giant cannons in his mouth. We got a giant hole in his mouth that can take other transformers. You got nice, clear, translucent orange eyes and a nice orange thing here. You got purple jet thrusters coming out of the back of his head. You got a whole load of nice detail going on this head sculpt right here, and that is just the head. Then you come down and you got all the detail going on the arms, on the sides of the body, on the legs. You saw most of the details on the legs in the city mode, but you got that. You got a giant car riding his chest. You've got the cannons on his back. You've got the tail going on. You got the wheels that turn into spikes on his back. You got a massive tail that is posable and usable. Unfortunately on mine, I think I broke mine. I do have to mention it because I'll get to that more of that in the posing, but I do think I broke the tail on mine. And then you got guns and things and everything, and this is just freaking cool. Sorry about the camera going wild right there, but this is just so friggin' cool. But if you want to give him more US Trypticon accuracy, one thing you can do you can actually insert a Titan Master into this slot of Trypticon's head. So let's take Necro here, and you'll do that, and you'll activate that gimmick, and then that cannon will open and revealing the Trypticon, the signature Trypticon forehead cannon and horn going on there. So you got that going on. And to get into the gimmicks again, we can open his mouth here, and there is a hole inside Trypticon's mouth that I mentioned before, and he just he just ate the Time Master. But it's okay because you just pull down this chest cavity right here, and you can see there's basically two levels of storage that you can just have Titan Master store where after he gobbles them down. And that's a perfect idea for this toy line. That he's just like gobbling on Titan Masters, like yum. But moving along, let's get into the articulation. And I did show some of the articulation going on right now. I'll move this back to make sure it's still in focus. The head is able to tilt up and down, and the mouth is able to open and close. One unfortunate thing is that the mouth, this is the most closed it can get, so it's never completely closed. So you can never completely close Trypticon's mouth. So he can't really bite down on anything because it never closes all the way. His head cannot rotate in this position. You do have to move the cannons around. You have to put the cannons into more of a proper firing position, and then you can rotate Trypticon's head. That means that the cannons do in fact have to move with Trypticon's head, which I'm sure Trypticon would probably bring the cannons out and would want to aim them. So that does make sense that they move with the head. Cannons rotate on these hinges. They can go as far as they can before they start running into things. So they'd be able to rotate a full 360 degrees if there weren't huge sections of Trypticon in the way. They can also extend and de-extend for whatever pose you want to put them in. The arms can rotate a full 360 degrees. There is an elbow joint right here giving him 90 degrees of articulation. There is a wrist joint that allows his wrist to go and do all of that. I don't necessarily know what to call it because it's on the dinosaur, but they can bend like so. The lower thumb is able to pose a little bit, well, a lot of a bit, so it has that range. And the upper fingers they're on one hinge, so they do articulate together, but they do pretty much at the same amount of movement range as the lower thumb does, and that same articulation on the other side. And for the legs are able to rotate a full 360 degrees. They are able to tilt in and out, as you can see. There's tiltage. This has to, that's loose. The door on front of Trypticon is loose and does not completely support the weight of full tilt, so that is a minor complaint. These, like I said, tilting. You got a knee bend that is only about 60 degrees. I call that 60 degrees or something like that. You got toe. You got a toe that he can wiggle. And if you want the purple things to wiggle too, you can do that. That's more just a reference from the original toy because of how it worked. Because that original toy was battery operated and Trypticon could walk by himself, which is really cool. But best thing on Trypticon is ratchet ankle tilt. So, oh, and he's falling apart. He can do very spread out poses, very spread out, powerful, imposing poses. This is why I was making such a big fuss yesterday on Fortress Maximus for not having ankle tilt, because like I could be like, oh, it's a big, if I reviewed him when I got him, I probably would have said something along the lines of like, oh, he's a big toy, of course it can't support ankle tilt, but then this toy comes along and it's got all the freaking ankle tilt and it doesn't even need the tail to support it. I can bend. It's a little tough to pose because there is a lot of weight involved and a lot of heavy ratchets that move. But look at this pose. The tail is doing none of the work. The tail is doing nothing to support this toy. This toy is so well balanced, it doesn't need that massive tail of it, doesn't even bother it. That's wonderful. I do say, this is able to move, and you can hear there is a spring that sounds so bad. When I did open the toy, that was able to lock in this position, and it was also able to lock in this upward position. It does not do that anymore, so I do think I broke the toy, so I'll have to go in and check, and figure out if I am capable of fixing it, but it is supposed to be able to lock into position from my understanding. There's no other articulation involved in this toy, but like, again, look at this pose. I was just fiddling around with him, and look at this excellent, amazing, wonderful pose if the door can stay on. There's a couple of minor complaints on this toy, but look at this posing, like you don't want this running at you in the middle of the night, and this is and for the Transformers, this is a thing that is a city. Look how massive this thing would be. How terrified an average Transformer would be of this thing if it was approaching them. I love this thing. This is wonderful. This is one of my best purchases I've made all year. I'm so happy. I can't recommend this guy enough. There's also extra Iron Master ports on him. The only other notable one is there's a very notable tiny green one right there. Then you got all the tail going on. And I don't think there's actually any on this tail, but yeah, no, just nothing on the tail. But yeah, you do have various amount of poses. You can get him into a lower, more dinosaur pose. You can get him to a more modernly accepted Tyrannosaurus Rex pose. Sometimes you do have a little to work a little bit to get the balance to work, but even with how large he is and with how much weight he is, you can still get him into a lot of good poses. My preferred pose is a much more upright and fairly straight-legged. Partly for two reasons. One, to give him as much height as possible, because while he is still a large toy, he is not the largest toy. Fortress Maximus still holds that position, but it gives him a much more comparable height to his his Titan's Return Autobot counterpart, as well as this is much more of a pose that the original Trypticon tended to hold, because the older designs of Tyrannosaurus plus Godzilla and the like. So I do very much like this pose. Also, it's already hard enough to store him on a shelf because that tail, like Fortress Maximus just stands upright and is fairly flat. So that's fairly easy to store on a shelf if you got a shelf tall enough for a Trypticon. The tail just gets in the way. It's just in the way, but it's still so cool that, like, how all this works. It's wonderful. It's friggin' wonderful. But now I do think I have done enough gushing on Trypticon. So let's get into some size comparisons. So here he is with Legends class Bumblebee, and you can see that Trypticon can just go squash. Deluxe class Chrome Dome, and Trypticon can easily go squash right there. You have Voyager class Megatron, and if I can get his legs to straighten out. Leader class Six Shot, who only his wings come up to basically what Trypticon's hips. Because everyone's definitely going to want to see this. Here is next up Fortress Maximus. I do have to stand him back because he doesn't stand all that well on the carpet, unfortunately, unlike Trypticon. Yeah, Fortress Maximus does end up definitely being taller than Trypticon by a couple of inches. And this is, again, Trypticon in his most upright positioning. But I still think this is really good because we also have so much more mass on Trypticon that those couple of height inches don't even matter to me. And then, of course, here he is next to the channel's mascots, Soundwave and Wheeljack. Come on, Wheeljack. It's the last review of the year, and you gotta stand for it. Yeah. So, all in all, Trypticon is a wonderful figure. He is so nice. It's so wonderful. We got a modern, updated Generation 1 Trypticon. I don't know what else to say. This is a wonderful toy. It's so much nicer than Fortress Maximus. Fortress Maximus had the handicap of being a retool of Metroplex, so like while he does basically work as a Fortress Maximus, he's not 100% Generation 1 accurate. The city and base ones are a little bleh, though admittedly they're fairly accurate to his original counterpart. But Trypticon and Fortress Maximus also does not have the ankle tilt to allow for dynamic posing. Trypticon's got all of that and more, and the fact that he's a giant robot dinosaur. This is so freaking cool, so wonderful, so worth it. If this is the thing you're into, if you're not into it, I can understand. It's a big toy, it's going to be expensive, but I think he's worth it, and I definitely would encourage you to get yourself a Trypticon if you got the space for it, because that is also another consideration. He's a big boy, so he's going to take up some space. But that is all I have to say on Trypticon, so thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. Also, please consider donating to me on my Patreon page to help support the channel. All the links will be in the description below. Thanks for tuning in. This is SoundJack signing off.